Okay, so what are you saying, people, and welcome back to your favorite YouTube channel. So today, guys, we've got another weekly analysis for you. On the screen are the pairs that we'll be analyzing today, but do make sure you do stay to the end of the video because I do have a bonus pair in store. So make sure you do stay to the end of the video to find out which pair that is. But yeah, guys, we'll get straight into it. EURUSD, like always. So for this pair this week, not too much. We did see some momentum towards the end of the week, but mainly we're still in this consolidation here. Again, bias really hasn't changed. Everything is still pretty bearish for EURUSD, especially in the higher time frames. Monthly, weekly, daily, all still pointing to the downside, creating lower highs and lower lows. So from a bias directional point of view, always looking for sells in this market. Again, I've been calling for the retest of the consolidation for quite some time now. We did have the fake out not too long ago to the upside, and ever since we broke to the downside, waiting for the retest of that to short EURUSD and just continue this trend. And now it looks like we could be coming up into that area. We just about missed it there on Friday with that daily candle, but I do think coming into next week we can go fill that wick to the upside, come and retest this level here, which is this zone, which is what I'll be working with, this broken support. I'm treating this bearish candle and that bullish candle as a bit of a fake out. So I'm looking at this support, which is at 1.01400, a retest of anywhere around there on the 4H, looking for some sells, and again targets for this one, basically back down to this support. You can see we formed it once, and then price has been fluctuating quite a lot at this area. So if we can push up a little bit more, retest that, looking for the next lower high to form. We've had one there, pull back into that area, then the continuation. If I do whip out the old Fibonacci, let me darken that up. If I do whip out the Fibonacci, you can see we are coming into that 0.5, 0.618, which is typically where I do look for my swing trades to form. So great confidence coming into that area. Hopefully get a retest there, start of the week, and then second half of the week we can see price follow through to the downside. But in terms of direction, everything still pretty bearish. But like I said, I think we can go fill that wick on the daily time frame. So there might be some short-term buys to the upside. You can look for something like this, bit more of a day trade to the upside for this one, back into that higher time frame zone. But for me, I'll be waiting for price to come here, and there's where I'll be looking for my sells. Anywhere around this 1.01400 area, might spike a little bit higher, might test it a little bit lower, but anywhere in that area I'll be looking for some signs of reversal, and from there I'll be looking for a push right back down into that key daily area. So looking for something like this for next week for EURUSD, but in terms of direction, still looking for shorts, and I think we can see some new lows eventually for this one. Okay, so now on to USD JPY. So for this pair, we've been flying to the upside like no man's business. Price has gone to hit 145, which corresponds to this monthly level of resistance all the way over there back in 1998. We've just about spiked into that there on the monthly. So expecting to see some retracement. Obviously, the market is quite overextended. We're expecting retracement anyway, but this could be an area where we do see some downside. But we still do have to respect what the market's currently doing, and only until we start to see structure break can we look for some longer term sells, some swings to the downside. But everything is still pointing up for USD/JPY. All we've done is just hit a key area where we could potentially bounce. Obviously, nothing's 100%. We could still break through and head higher. So for USD/JPY, what I'll be looking for next week for this one is some downside retracement. But I do think price probably still does have some room to climb higher. We do have this channel that the market is kind of trading in, and in context to our previous swings, the market is at an area where we could see some retracement. We've had our first indication of that with that bearish push to the downside there on the daily and the 4H. So you can look for some shorts. Again, I probably wouldn't really entertain this. Definitely a bit more aggressive for my liking, but some shorts retesting that consolidation does look like a good shout. We've got the key resistance there on the higher time frames, coming into that trend line there where we do expect to see retracement. Already seen some bearish momentum come in there, so retracement, lower high, you can be looking for some shorts there. Obviously it's a little bit more aggressive, but a trade that does make complete sense. For me, I'll be seeing if we can get retracement to one or two areas. We got the broken resistance there, looking for the retest of that, and then some upside or into this consolidation, which is just slightly above, which you can see there at the 140, 500 mark. So buys from one of these two areas all look very, very good. Obviously, we've got to judge price action and confirmations, but one of those two areas is where buys would be looking good. Again, no need to overcomplicate things. Everything is still pretty bullish on the monthly, on the weekly, on the daily. So buys, always going to be your best bet. But if you're really looking to trade this one, I do see some short-term sales lining up for next week from around that consolidation, which is at 143.900, or we can call it 144. And yeah, you can be selling it to these areas to back up. Because like I said, everything is still pretty bullish, and I do think we can still go and attack those highs at least one more time for USD JPY. So yeah, for this pair, expected some short-term downside, but buys are looking good from 140,500 and from a retest of that daily structure at 139,400 as well for next week. Okay, so now on to USD CAD. So USD CAD this week, some nice downside. Again, still treating this as retracement. I'm still pretty bullish on the pair. I'm expecting price to take up this wick here. I was actually expecting price to do that this week. However, we came pretty close before the market did roll over. But again, from a directional point of view and analysis and structure, nothing really has changed. Just that the market's having some more correction. So I'm still expecting a higher low to form. 1.29500 is my next kind of daily level of interest. I was expecting price to hold this level, however, we just closed underneath that. So that tells me that there's probably still a bit more downside left in the market. So again, day trading point of view, you probably got some nice sells to take advantage of from a retest of that. Sell it, take advantage of that momentum into those lows. But I do expect the bigger push to be to the upside, and I still expect the bulls to be in control of the market until higher time frame structure breaks, really. So yeah, USD CAD, expecting a little bit more downside to start the week off, but then later stages, I do think we can see some more dollar momentum kick back in to the upside, of course, and we can start looking for some longs again. My area of interest is 1.29600, 1.29500. From here, so I'll be looking for longs, or if we can break back above this level, that will be also a great shout for some long ideas. And again, looking for our confirmations to take this back to highs, because everything from the higher time frames is still pointing to the upside, seeing a lot of higher lows being created and higher highs be taken out. So it tells me that structure is still pointing to the upside, so that's the direction I'll be trading in. But might have a nice little day trade there as well to the downside first to start the week off. So that's the plan for next week. Bias is to the upside, still looking for a push to 1.32235, but expecting a bit more downside off the level of 1.30527, back down to 1.29600, and from there we're looking for my continuations for price to head higher. Sorry to interrupt the video, guys, but if you are enjoying the content and you find it useful, make sure you go hit the subscribe button down below, and also make sure you drop a like as well. It really does help the channel out. But anyway, back to the video. Okay, so now on to Euro Pound. So Euro Pound, very, very corrected pair, but we have seen some nice upside for this one. Coming into the week, we were looking for the bounce of this broken resistance, turned support. Did see a nice bounce there. Was expecting price to go and take up these highs, but we are currently still rejecting this overall area of resistance. But I still do see that momentum pushing through these highs at 0.87214. So I am expecting price to push past them. But again, we don't be buying the market at these prices because this is generally an area of resistance. And it's just generally not a great place to buy the market. So for this one, we'll be waiting for a push to the downside, hoping we can get some retracement to buy it back up again. Two areas stand out to me. This broken support there on the 4H at 0.86180, and obviously the same daily resistance, turn support, which reacted quite well this week. And as you can see previously, really nice resistance, was resistance there as well. A few fake outs there, but as long as we can stay above, I do see us pushing to the upside and eventually taking out those highs at 0.87214. So if we can get some downside to one of these two areas, it will be perfect. If we just fly to the upside and start breaking new highs, then you probably just want to wait for price to continue and wait for price to break through that daily resistance before looking to get in the market. Because generally speaking, and that resistance is not really where you want to be placing your longs. And if anything, maybe some short-term sells might be your best bet at these areas here around 0.87. But as a bullish, as a bull in this market, looking for longs, as long as we stay above this daily resistance, turn support at 0.85857. As long as we stay above that, I'm expecting price to eventually go and take out this wick. So yeah, for this one, expecting some retracement to the downside, and yeah, some more continuation back to the upside to take out those daily highs at 0.87214 for next week. Okay, so now onto Aodu USD. So for this pair, again, still bearish bias. Did see some nice downside this week. However, Friday kind of just erased all of that. I was expecting price to go and take out these lows this week here at 0.66827. However, we came pretty close and price did see some upside. But again, this gives us another opportunity to get back in the market, because the probability of us taking out those lows are pretty high. Looking at the monthly, looking at the weekly, looking at the daily, structure, trend, everything is still pointing to the downside for all of those time frames. So the probability of us taking those lows out are pretty high. Obviously, anything could happen, of course, but we've got to go with probability, and probability is still pointing to the downside. So my two main areas of interest where I do think this pullback could finish and start heading down again. This area, which is what I'm heavily focused on for AUD/USD, which is 0.68780, which we just tapped into that on Friday. Or if you do see some momentum come from somewhere for AUD/USD to the upside, 0.7 there will be my second area of interest, where I do think we can turn around and come back down. So going on to the 4H time frame, just tidy up these levels a little bit so you can focus on the 4H levels here. So as you can see, nice tap into the level there, nice support once, second time again, multiple times there, again there, slightly, and then we broke through. Now we're coming in to retest that as resistance, and if I do whip out the old Fibonacci from the high to the low there, you can see we're coming to the 0.5, 0.618, which is great confidence for these shorts. So essentially, all I'm looking for is this to happen. Excuse me. All I'm looking for is this to happen for AUD/USD back down to these lows. That will be the targets for this one. And if we do see some upside into this level, again, doesn't really change anything with the bias and the direction of the market. We're still expecting us to head lower. So this is what I'm expecting for AUD/USD for next week. Looking for sells at 0.68704 and also 0.69801. And looking to sell it back down to lows for next week for AUD/USD. Okay, so now on to NZD CAD. So as you can see, everything's still looking bearish with this one. Higher time frames still displaying a lot of bearish momentum. Weekly, monthly, and daily charts still giving us lower lows and lower highs. And like I said last week, still expecting these lows to be taken out in the market. It's come pretty close, but still messing around. Very corrective. Some momentum needs to come from somewhere for us to go and break those lows, but again, expecting us to go and do that probably next week, since we're so close to those areas. So to trade this, again, very corrective, but the best thing to do is just wait for that pullback. Got a nice area consolidation up here, so one more push to the upside, and then we can see the continuation to the downside and take out those lows. So something looking a bit like that. Trade it down to 0.7950, or if we see a bigger retracement into the resistance, into the origin of the trend line, you know, we could be seeing another reaction here at 0.80600, and again, base some sells there. But again, not really looking for longs in this market. I know we're at support into those lows, but we're trying to stay in tune with those higher time frames and utilize that momentum and that higher time frame direction in our favor to add, you know, more probability and just more confidence to our trade. So yeah, looking for a test of 0.8, nice psychological level confluence there, just noticed, but really nice confidence. We can push one more time into that consolidation, into that trend line there, since we are trading a bit in a channel. As you can see, one will push up, then the continuation, or if we do break outside that channel, again, nothing's really changed from a directional perspective. Still expecting the market to head down, so a push into 0.80600. Again, sales would still be looking very good, and expecting price to head back down to those lows at 0.79 for next week. So up next, we've got pound NZD. So for this pair, again, bearish buy, still expecting these lows eventually to be taken out. So until those lows are taken out or we break structure, I'm only going to be looking for sells for pound NZD for us to push through 1.87121. So that's the goal for pound NZD. Don't know how long that'll take. Could be done early next week, or maybe even next week. I mean, the week after. But that's the direction that we're expecting price to head towards. You can see the consistent lower highs price is placing. Again, as long as we don't break structure, still looking for some shorts. Nice break of this key support there at 1.91500. Very, very key support, now time resistance. Market is now placing a bit of a trend line here, struggling to push higher, momentum keeps failing. As long as we can stay within that, I would expect us to drop to the downside back down to these lows, unless price does have one more retest of the level, and again doesn't change anything, we can still look for sells up at that region. So for next week, looking for us to come back into the resistance here with the trend line acting as some nice confluence, and then the continuations back down to the lows. That is what I'll be looking at for pound NZD. So that'll be the first setup, the one that looks the best, but obviously another push into this won't make too much of a difference, and in fact the risk reward will be obviously a little bit better as well. So if it comes up to there, no worries at all, as long as we don't break structure. That's the key thing. As long as we don't break structure, still looking for sells at 1.91500 and also at 1.9300. So that's what I'll be expecting next for pound NZD. Obviously multiple targets you can have. This consolidation here could be a target, this low here as well, but I do see us eventually taking out 1.87132. So more shorts for pound NZD for next week. Okay, so now on to CAD Yen. So CAD Yen, as you can see, still looking pretty bullish, breaking through 107,500. That's the level that I said we could see a push into this week, and the market flew a lot further than that, as you can see evidently. We have hit 110, which is a big psychological level. You can see we have had a slight reaction to that, and I'm expecting the market to retrace, but we are clearing this monthly level, which I've been talking about for a while now, expecting the market to see some reaction from. Saw a slight reaction with that bearish candle, but looks like the market is breaking through. Obviously, this is a monthly level, so we still do have to wait to the end of the month to confirm the breakout, but we've just seen a strong weekly candle closure. And unless we see another weekly candle closing right back below something like this to give us the fake out, I'm expecting the market to go a lot higher, because now we're breaking through a very, very key level. So unless something crazy like that happens and we see a big bearish candle, which obviously is a possibility, just unlikely, I'm still expecting this to head a lot higher now. So CAD Yen looking for some retracement, coming to fresh highs, hitting to 110. There's not really too much to look into for this one. We have to go all the way back to 07 really to find some resistance and support. So basically going to play it by ear for this one and use the psychological levels to our advantage. Coming into 110, expect to see some type of reaction, which we have, and we might see the market retrace a little bit. Again, very, very aggressive trades here. You can be looking for some shorts, expecting to see that retracement lower. Again, expecting to see a retest of this high here. You can look for those shorts. Definitely not really my type of trade there, but if that is what you're looking for, then go ahead. But I'll be looking for a retest of 107,500 or 106,500, which is that higher time frame zone. In there, I'll be looking for some entries and some signs or reversals to go long on CAD Yen, because as long as we stay above this 106 level, I do expect us to go a lot further. So this trend, although it's gone pretty far, might still go quite far still. So do not underestimate us pushing a lot higher. I do think eventually we will have that big collapse, but with this level break, there does mean there's more room to the upside for the foreseeable future. So CAD Yen looking for retracement 107,500 or 106,500 into these areas. If you want to, there could be some short-term sells. Very aggressive, not really my type of trade, but if that's what you're looking for, then go ahead. But I'll be seeing if you can get some nice retracement to one of those areas, and then buys back up to 110 for next week. Okay, so now on to pound USD. So for this pair, some more downside this week, and we have gone and taken out those COVID lows. So the market has done that objective, completed. Now we could see a reaction to the upside, because again, a lot of liquidity below those lows there, and we've had quite a substantial move to the upside from that area, as you can see. Now we've just gone and pinched. If I go to the lower time frames, you see it a little bit better. If I go to the hourly, actually, you can see we just about kissed through those areas, almost actually hitting 1.14 on the dot, and we had a bit of a reaction to the upside. So for pound USD, nothing's really changed in terms of bias and where I expect the market to go. We're still pretty bearish for this one, so I still expect the market to head lower, past these areas, but we could be seeing a bigger pullback first before we see that continuation for pound USD. So you can see it again in the context of this channel coming to these lows. Could see a bit of a bounce to the upside. We had a nice stab, was that Wednesday, nice stab to the downside wick. Price tried to try lower, take out those lows, and it pulled back. And Friday we saw a nice candlestick closure. So I do expect to see some upside now. Where I'm looking to get short again for pound USD is back at this broken support term resistance 1.18. I'll see what type of price action we can get going there, and from there as well I'll look to base my shorts, or even this broken support here as well would be a nice little area to short from at 1.20500. But again, that's another bit of analysis for another day, because we're obviously not trading anywhere near that price right now. But pound USD short-term buys, again, I probably won't steer into this, but this is the only kind of opportunity I can really see for pound USD. I really look to sell the market anymore unless I've seen a pullback to one of those two areas I just mentioned. So your best bet is to look for some nice short-term longs, intraday longs, or maybe even some longs for 1 or 2 days to the upside back to 1.18, which is that level that I would look to short. You can wait for a break and retest of this resistance here, 1.16, or a retest of this 4H broken resistance turn support. Obviously, the retest of this level will give you a higher probability of a trade, whereas this level, not as important, a little bit more likely to fail. So it's up to you how you want to trade this one. 2 areas to look at, depending on risk to reward and where you want to enter, and also how long you're going to hold the trade for. But 2 good levels where you could probably see a reaction to the upside for pound USD. But like I said, not really looking to sell the market. We've just taken out those COVID lows. I do think we can see some retracement. 1.18 is my next area of interest to sell. Probably talk about that in the next weekly analysis video. But for next week, pound USD expecting some upside. Targets 1.18, buys from 1.16 or 1.15300. Okay, so now on to pound CAD, and this one's still falling to the downside. Very bearish. You can see the higher time frame momentum. Bearish candle after bearish candle after bearish candle on the monthly, and we're looking for price to eventually go and take out these lows. We took out those lows over there, and these are the next areas that the market could potentially go and take out before having that bigger correction to the upside. But again, I'm not really looking to sell this market until I see some good retracement. I'm looking for the market to come up to here. So again, a similar kind of setup to pound USD. You can see we're trading in a channel as well. Most of pound pairs, apart from like pound GM, but pound CAD, pound CHF, pound USD, those pairs especially are trading a nice little channel to the downside. And we're looking for the market to continue being bearish, but again, we're waiting for bigger pullbacks to short them. From a swing perspective, obviously day trading, you can take advantage of that momentum on the lower time frames. But for this one, we're coming to this area, could see a bit of a bounce. That's what I'm hoping for price to get to go short. If you're looking to trade this one, best bet is just to stay in line with the market. If I do draw this trend line here using the daily candlesticks, you can see we've been trading in this channel here, squeezing using that trend line. So as long as we can maintain that, sales will still be looking good, and I'm expecting price to continue bearish. If we can snap outside of this, this is where I can see some buys happening. Nice break and retest of this resistance, something like that. And then we can get some buys into that level. And that's when I'll see my bigger swing move, which I'm looking for, which may or may not happen. Of course, we could just roll over bearish. We don't have to necessarily have that bigger retracement, but if we do, fantastic. We can play some trades at that area. So that's kind of what I'm looking at for pound CAD. Again, sells a little bit tattered, but if you're on the lower time frames, you can probably look for some resistance to take advantage of that. But really you want to see price break above this 1.1500 level, bit of a mouthful, a push into 1.534, which is that resistance there, and that's what I'll be looking for my sells for the big rollover to the downside, probably to go and take out those monthly lows down there. So that's what I'll be looking at for pound CAD. Retest of that level at 1.515 and a retest of 1.54 to go short and take that down to those monthly lows. Okay, so now on to pound yen. So pound yen this week, big push to the upside. Again, that's what we're looking for the market, some momentum. I said we've got this consolidation, want price to either break down or break to the upside. Doesn't really matter because all we're waiting for is some momentum to come back into the market so we can get some good direction, and then we can just follow that momentum, either which way. If it broke to the downside, we'll look for continuations to the downside, and if it broke to the upside, we're looking for continuation to the upside, and targets now are back here at 168, back to those daily highs. So now I'm looking for some correction for this one, which looks like it is happening, which is a good sign, and we're not just flying to the upside with no pullbacks. We have broken out outside of this consolidation, as you can see, and the market's coming back to retest it. So again, hopefully from here we can see some downside to start the week off from the next high low, and this is my level I'll be interested in, by the way, around the 163,700 area, and from that looking for continuations back to highs. So again, if you're looking for this short-term sales, feel free. Not really my type of trade, but I would expect retracement to happen there, so you can take advantage of that if you want to as well. But the buys are where we're seeing the higher time frames at, so your best bet in terms of probability and confidence is to focus on those buys, of course. But pound yen for me, looking for a pushback to 168,500. Well, not 168,500, 168. I mean, 168,500 is more or less where the highs are at, which we could see, to be fair, but 168 will target, big psychological level, and we've obviously rebounded 3 times from there. So that's where we'll look for buys for this one. So yeah, hopefully you can get that pullback again midweek, and then look for continuations later on. Maybe some short-term sells if you're looking for that on the lower time frames, but I'll be focusing on the buys, and even this level here as well. If that level doesn't hold, a push into 162,500. I'll be looking for longs. Basically, I'm just looking for that higher low to form, really. So if it doesn't form there, I'll be looking slightly lower, which is at this 162,500 level as well. But the same idea and the direction stays the same for pound yen until we break structure, of course. So again, looking for buys for next week. Targets at 168. Hopefully get some buys from 163,700 or 162,500 for next week. Okay, now on to gold. So gold this week, bit of consolidation really, as you can see there in the 4H and those daily candlesticks, prices a little bit jumbled up, but again, it makes sense since price is trading at such a critical level of weekly support. Again, still expecting this support to break, but we may see a move higher first, react to the level, forming the lower high before we go and attack that level, because again, it's a very, very strong level, so we need a lot of momentum to break through that. And right now you can see we're firing a lot of wicks into this level there, so you can see this weekly candle, big wick into that level, and again this weekly candle, another wick into that level. So you can see the market starting to exhaust a little bit, so we could see a push higher first before we do get that follow through to the downside. So for pound, let's say pound JPY, not pound JPY. For gold, still looking for shorts, but looking for us to come a little bit higher. 1740 will look good, or even into that price swing there at 1760. So one of these two areas where I'll look to get short. In this area here is very, very choppy, so frankly I'll be staying away. There might be some intraday sells and buys in this area from 1724, which was our old area of resistance we're looking at coming into the week. Might be able to catch some sells off that into 50% of the range, or maybe back down to the lows. But typically this is where the weekly support is at. So ideally you want price to trade higher first, and then you look for sells right back down into that same area, which is around 1700, which again, big psychological level. So I'll be looking at this for gold, shorts from 1737, 1740, or even coming back into those prior swing highs. As long as we don't break structure, again, we're still looking for the exact same thing to happen, sales to the downside and targets right back down to those lows at 1680, or you can look to push it to 1676, which is where the weekly lows are at. But with this strong level, I just advise look for 1700. Nice psychological level to aim for your shorts if you're looking to swing the trade. But those are my two levels of interest. Hopefully we can get up there, midweek, and then take advantage of some downside in the later stages. But I do want to see some higher movement first, get outside that consolidation, see some upside, and then we can short it back down later in the week. Okay, so now on to Bitcoin. So strong move to the downside earlier in the week. However, that was short-lived. Again, we were coming into this daily support, which was the first target, into 18,900, and then also this wick here. Price came into that strong move and then flew to the upside with a lot of momentum there on Friday. Now we're coming into this resistance here. So again, very, very important level for Bitcoin, where potentially we could roll back over again. Or if we do not mean to do that, we could roll back over again from this level, which is 21,600. But if we do break through that, then I see the market placing a bit of a double bottom and actually going to take out those highs, because we still do have this area of consolidation, which I was originally expecting the market to go and retest before rolling over for its next leg. And now if you get back above that, I do see us taking out those highs. Next area of interest, area of value, would be this area around 30k, which also does line up with our weekly level of support there, as you can see. So that's where I was expecting the market to come into, and this could be a double bottom to see that move before the bigger rollover. So if we do break through this, is a very, very strong level, especially if we get the retest of it at 21,700. I would expect us to push into those highs. But of course, we do need to get above that level first. So monitor price action in this area. Again, still looking pretty bullish. But if we do see the market start to reject this and get some confirmations, sells back down to 19k, basically where it came from. On the flip side, if we do break through, wait for your break and retest. And then, you can take advantage of some nice longs. Obviously, you don't have to hold on for it all the way up to 30k if you're looking to trade it. A push back to those highs, which is around 24, is it? Yeah, 24,700 will be a very, very nice trade as well. So that's what we're looking at for Bitcoin. Eyes on the 21,700 level. If we hold, I expect market to collapse back down again, break above, momentum sustains, look for the retest, and we can be pushing back to 24 and possibly also 30k. So keep that in the back of your head if you do see the breakout for next week. Okay, so now on to our bonus pair, which is EURUSD this week. Now, EURUSD is lining up for some really, really nice swing trades. For this one, again, day trades as well. If you want to take snippets out of the market, it's perfectly fine. But I still do see a lot more downside for EURUSD into 1.26. Again, monthly, weekly, daily, all displaying a lot of bearish momentum. So I'm just looking to follow that momentum to the downside as a swing trader. So for this one, I do have 3 areas of interest. Go to the lower time frames, you can see the structure the market is printing, lower high, lower high. And if I join them up, as long as we stay within that structure, looking to see if we can form another lower high, then drop, or retest this resistance here, which is currently doing that right now. So those are the 2 areas there on the 4H, which I'm looking at for the market to print that next lower high for the continuations lower. Again, targets probably won't be looking at 1.26 in one go, but again, slowly working our way down to those lows. And if I stretch that out, coming to this trend line, if you do see a spike higher, rebound off this area, again, still looking for sells, does line up pretty nicely with this resistance here. So that's basically where we'll be trading with, using the trend line as confluence. And the third area is on the daily time frame, where we've got this consolidation here, and we've got the low for consolidation, which we never got the retest of. So I'm looking to see if potentially might break out the consolidation, push into this area, and then get the bigger sell-off. Maybe fake these highs, fake the reversal, and then get the bigger continuation. So 1.34 is also an area of interest, but that's only if we do break through this structure here in the 4H. Then we'll start looking at 1.34 up here. But if not, focus on the sells on these 2 levels for next week. So that's what I see happening for EURUSD. Back down to those respective lows at 1.29 for next week for EURUSD. But yeah, guys, that is the end of the video. I hope you all found that useful and enjoyed it. If you did, please give the video a thumbs up. If you want to see more of the content, subscribe to the channel if you are enjoying it. Hit the bell as well so you don't miss out on any uploads or streams during the week. If you do have a particular pair that you want to see as a bonus pair, please let me know. Drop it down in the comments, and I'll be sure to add that to the list. But yeah, guys, hopefully you are finding these videos helpful. Make sure you subscribe if you haven't done already. But have a fantastic day, and I'll catch you all next week.